And we have breaking news that I have been waiting on for this Sixers team as they officially agreed to a 4-year contract with Ricky Council IV. With the deadline being tomorrow as the last day of the season, the Sixers have now upgraded his contract to a standard NBA deal as opposed to the two-way that he has had for most of the season, making him eligible for this playoff run and locking him up for the foreseeable future. We got this announcement from Shams Charania, who tweeted, sources, the Philadelphia 76ers are converting two-way guard forward Ricky Council IV on a new 4-year deal, $7.4 million NBA contract, as $864,000 in new money this season. CEO Adi Van Guntard of Young Money APAA negotiated the deal. Council has averaged 5.7 points in 9.3 minutes over 30 games. This is great news for the Sixers team both in the short and long term. In the long term, this team lacks young talent. That when you look at Tyrese Maxey, who obviously is this up-and-coming and blossoming superstar right in front of our eyes, but there's not a lot beyond that. That the Isaiah Joes, they're gone. The Jaden Springers, they're gone. That it's important to have the next guys up-and-coming in line, and Ricky Council IV is ready to fill those shoes. We've already seen some positive reaction across the team. Almost immediately, we get this quote tweet from Tyrese Maxey saying that it's earned, which I absolutely love. It does seem like Ricky Council IV is very liked within the Sixers circles and within the team, which is just more the reason to add to his on-court ability why he deserves to be a long-term piece of the franchise. Another example of this, we had this quote from Joel Embiid this week. We all remember the pass that he made during the Spurs game, the kick out to Nico Batum where he was flying through the air, a kind of wraparound pass at a massive moment in the game. Well, I thought this was a very cool quote here from Joel, that Ricky says, quote, Joel just came in here and he said only 3 people can make that pass in the league. He said LeBron, Luka, and me. So I'm like, okay, I'll take that. And Ricky Council told Matt Murphy of the Sixers that. That might be a slight exaggeration there, but the point being that was an advanced pass that he was capable of making on a huge moment in the game. That to me was an example of him growing up right in front of our very eyes. And what I think we can take most about Ricky Council IV is he's making the most of every single opportunity that he has, that he's capitalizing on every chance that he takes, and he straight up has earned himself this money. And Nick Nurse, by the way, seems to think the exact same thing. That down at Sixers practice currently going on, we got the quote from Nick Nurse that said he has, quote, absolutely earned his new 4-year deal. Nurse says that he sees Council being on the bubble of the Sixers rotation and a potential X-factor sort of player for the playoffs. That to me is where the conversation has shifted throughout this year, that most of my outlook and opinion on why he needed to be signed to a multi-year deal this season was because of the long-term effects. Because you want to keep this guy in the system, continue developing and see what he turns into. But it's kind of changed throughout the year that it's now belief that they need this guy to be eligible for the playoff run. I think there's a real world where Ricky Council IV swings a playoff game this season for the Sixers, because we've seen him do it in the regular season, and when you think about the matchup and the styles of play that this team needs, he fits that. That he isn't a guy that needs to be ball dominant. He scraps for his own points. He's on putbacks. It's on rebounds. He's a high-level athlete. He's a capable defender and a guy who competes at an incredibly high level. He's just the type of player that can make an impact on the biggest stage, and I get he's young. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but this is a guy that I think can grow into something incredibly productive and something very valuable to the Sixers team. And to dive into a little more about him, for starters, I want to look at his G League stats here, that this season with the Delaware Bluecoats, he played in 16 games, averaging 35.7 minutes per game, producing 24.3 points, 5.3 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 1.3 steals, shot 39.4% from beyond the three-point arc on 6.5 attempts per game. That is a massive deal right there, because that was the biggest question with Ricky Council, and really the reason that he went undrafted. It was because of the jump shot. To his credit, it looks like he put a significant amount of work in on that jumper. That the form looks slightly different, the release looks better, it looks cleaner, it looks quicker, and obviously the efficiency is showing. That likely will be kind of his make or break swing skill at the NBA level, but he's showing evidence why you should believe that that will turn out in the positive direction. That I do believe Ricky Council IV is a guy willing to put the work in. He's a gym rat type guy by all accounts, and really seems to be working out. That Maxey's told a couple stories to the media of him and Ricky kind of shooting after practice. He talked about that if he can get that corner 3 down, then he could be a potentially special player. That's great news. And again, you're adding more young talent to this team. That if him and Maxey have some sort of connection, we're talking about 2 guys 23 years old and younger. That they have plenty of years ahead of them where they can each begin to develop, and frankly, I would say complementary skill styles. That when you have Maxey, who is this ball-dominant guard, who needs it in his hand, who's capable of creating his own shot, well, he's also developed a ton as a playmaker, and Ricky is a guy who moves very well off ball. That baseline cut is super dynamic out of him. He does it very well, and to me, he's kind of the next in line for some Kelly Oubre type minutes on this team. And when you do shrink this roster down to the top 8 or 9, I think Ricky finds himself right on that edge. He's probably my 10th man when I do break it down and look at each of these guys. But there will be games where you may need to go that deep, whether it be foul issues, whether it be the game script that is going down and needing a spark plug off the bench. He's the guy that can step up and deliver. And I know this is a small sample size, that we have not seen him a ton, but he is the guy who's played far more NBA minutes than is traditionally the case for a two-way contract type guy. That we've seen him have games with 22 minutes, 18 minutes, 25 minutes. That really does not happen very often, especially on a team that, not that the Sixers haven't had injuries, but at his position, it's been a lot of cases where Ricky Council IV has gotten a bump up in situations that were unexpected. And I know it is a small sample size and these numbers can be distorted, but to look at his per 36 numbers here, some really impressive stuff. That per 36 minutes, he's averaging 21.8 points, 5.6 rebounds, 2.0 assists, 1.0 steal, and at the NBA level, still shooting 35.5% from 3. That's still pretty solid. And again, I know we can't dig too deep into the per 36 there, that we will see when we have a larger sample size to look at, but the bottom line is these are still promising statistics. These are still signs pointing in the right direction, which makes it all the more important. And I kind of had speculated on here that I thought the holdup on this contract was Ricky Council demanding a higher number value than I expected to be the case. It might have been on the Sixers end, because when you look at this number here, $7.4 million on a 4-year deal, that is significantly cheaper than I honestly expected to be the case. And when you project towards the Sixers team, that in the offseason, we know there's been so much chatter and so much talk about the cap flexibility, keeping money open for these big ticket free agents. Well, you got to fill out 15 people on your roster. And regardless of who comes or who does not come, it is a good decision to have this type of young talent locked up under contract and ensured that he will be wearing a uniform for the next handful of years. I see no world where this contract ages as a bad thing for this Sixers team, regardless of the flexibility that you are sacrificing. So for me, this is a win-win for everyone. For the Sixers in the short and long term, for Ricky Council, that he did finally create a long-term home for himself, that these Sixers are a part of his foreseeable future, that this is a two-way street that he can feel comfortable in. It isn't this overarching feeling that you got to make sure you have something set for the postseason. You're not pushing your luck in the free agent market. I'm happy to have this settled. And once again, it was up against the buzzer, that tomorrow being the final game of the season, tomorrow being the day that we will find out who the Sixers team officially will be matching up with as the playoffs currently sit, that the Sixers need to get a victory and one of either the Pacers or the Magic to lose. We will see how things shake out. That's what it takes for them to climb out of that 7th seed and out of the play-in tournament entirely. But the bottom line is these Sixers are taking care of their own business. They did produce the victory against the Magic last night. I dropped a video on here breaking things down and taking a deeper look at the schedule with that. We got mostly good news regarding Joel Embiid's knee so far at practice, that Nick Nurse saying that there is not any significant concerns, that the knee responded pretty well. So hopefully that was just a fluke thing and that is water under the bridge. We'll have more clarity on that tomorrow and see how he looks in the game if he does play in it. But the bottom line is, for the moment, we will celebrate this victory for Ricky Council IV. Once again, I think this is a great deal in the long term to have this guy under contract. I think this is a great deal in the short term, as he could be a potential impact player. Even if there's one game where he comes in, makes a hustle play, gets a rebound, goes coast to coast for a big dunk, that right there makes that deal worth it. So we will see how things play out from here, but I'm very happy I'm able to hop on this mic and talk about this deal today. I did not really expect that to be the case, and now the Sixers roster is officially complete at 15 players. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Are you as hyped up as I am for Ricky Council IV? Very excited for him to be a long-term part of this franchise. Don't forget to make sure you're smashing that subscribe button, dropping a like on this video, and I'll be talking to you next time right here on Sixers Digest. Peace.